Jai Hind, Namaskar, and I welcome you all to this session of daily newspaper editorial analysis. So I hope that all of you are doing well. You are also writing answers. I have been getting that, and many of you are also improving. So I welcome you all to this session. In today's session, let us first look at the topics which we are going to discuss, and then we will come to the questions also. We will see that how we have written, and plus at the same time, what should be the ideal approach of writing answers. So I welcome you all to this session. So how is your preparation going on? How is your answer writing going on? Tell me from your side. How are you feeling with respect to the answer writing? With respect to your mains preparation? So if you look at this, this is one of the very much systematic manner of your mains preparation. That daily we are adding on some topics. Daily we are discussing about certain topics, and then we are going for answer writing on that topic. So it's a very much systematic system of your preparation. So I welcome you all to this session, and let us see the topics which we are going to discuss today. There is this one main topic which we are going to discuss today, that is changing Asia and India-Japan relations. It is about this changing Asia's geopolitics, and then it is about this India and Japan relations in midst of that. Then we are going to talk about AI and education. This is the second article we will talk about. The third article which we are going to discuss about is challenges of job creation. Although we have already discussed this topic in detail. अगर आपको याद हो, we have discussed about the VBG Ramji in detail. So this article is also about Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission. So we will just see a glimpse of it. But we have already discussed this one topic in detail in our previous sessions. Okay. So these are the topics which we are going to talk about, which we are going to discuss in today's session. Then we will talk about the answer writing part also. I have noted down the feedback of your answers. Okay, so let's start. Okay. Now, so let's start with this first part. A changing Asia demands more from Delhi and Tokyo together. A changing Asia is demanding more from more from India and Japan together. That India and Japan must come together for this changing nature of geopolitics or changing security framework in case of Asia. So let us try to look at this in a systematic manner. Let us try to look at this one by one. Okay. So the first part which we see here, that when we are talking about the changing situation in Asia, changing situation in Asia. What is the changing situation in Asia? When we look at this one part, you will see that on one side we have China. On one side we have China, and China is becoming more assertive. It is becoming more assertive day by day. You can see that its approach, when we are talking about its approach in Arunachal Pradesh or its approach with respect to South China Sea, you can see that this China is becoming more aggressive day by day. Okay. For example, the claims by China in South China Sea. Then we see that there is also claims by China in Arunachal Pradesh. We see that China is becoming more assertive day by day. Okay. It is becoming more assertive day by day. In fact, it is posing a security challenge. This China is creating a security challenge. A security challenge for India for India as well as Japan. It is a security challenge for India as well as Japan. So this is one of the parts which we see here. That on one side we see that the China is becoming more and more aggressive. It is becoming more and more a security threat in the regions of this Asia. That is one of the geopolitical change which we see here. On the other side, what we also see that when we are talking about the United States, so there is a change in its policy also. There is a change in the policy of United States also. Now, it has started to focus on America first. There is one thing, there is a focus on America first. We see that there is also it is having a withdrawal. It is having a kind of withdrawal from the Asia Pacific. Withdrawing from Asia Pacific or Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific. There is a more focus of US on the Western Hemisphere. A larger focus on Western Hemisphere. It is having the larger focus on Western Hemisphere. Plus, at the same time, we have also seen that during this war of West Asia, the West Asian conflict has exposed the ability of United States. So we have seen that the West Asian crisis, it has exposed the credibility of United States as a net security provider. So we see that there are two things which are happening in the world right now. On one side, we have China, which is becoming more aggressive. On the other side, we have United States. On the other side, we have United States, where we see that there is a changing approach. There is a changing approach with respect to Asia. Earlier, it was focused on Asia Pacific or Indo-Pacific. It was talking about Quad. It was talking about many such alliances in there. But now the focus is more on the Western Hemisphere rather than the Pacific Ocean. So we see that there is a changing geopolitics in the world right now, which I think you all can see that how it is going on in the world. So this is the context. This is the background. Now, what we see that in this context, when we are talking about the Japan, okay, so you can see that when we are talking about Japan, earlier it was having a self-imposed military restraint. Okay. We see that earlier it was having self-imposed military restraint. Only 1% of GDP on defense. We see that it was largely dependent. It was largely dependent on United States for its defense. So what we see that despite having so many technologies, despite having so many industries, the Japan was largely focused on this one part. There were in fact tighter export restrictions also. We see that there were tighter export restrictions also. There were tighter export restrictions as well in case of this Japan. Okay. So there were tighter export restrictions also that we have also seen in the case of this. There was very much narrow scope of working of Japan. Okay. But now we see that Japan is also seeing a change. Japan is also witnessing a change. Japan is also going through certain challenges. So we see that this Japan is also facing some challenge. It is also facing challenges. Okay. And those challenges are again with respect to China. It is with respect to China's policy. Okay. We have seen that now China has risen. It is one of the a major military power, and it has a political willingness to project that power. Okay. So we see that now there is one of the issue that China, it is a major military power, plus at the same time China is having willing to project that power. It is willing to project that power. Means it is trying to use that power also. China is willing to use that power also. We see that there is again a maritime border conflict or maritime conflict with Japan. There is a maritime conflict between China and Japan. There is this maritime conflict also with respect to China and Japan. And there is also uncertainty of US commitment. There is an uncertainty with respect to US commitments. So we see that Japan is going through these challenges. And that's why what we see that Japan has also started to change its policy. Okay. Now we see that they have been changing their policy. They have been changing their policy, and that is where we have an opportunity. Okay. So what we see that there is a change in policy of Japan. There is basically change in policy. Change in policy of Japan. And what is that change in policy? You will see that Japan is now going for higher defense expenditure. They are going to aim to 2% of GDP. Higher expenditure on defense. 2% by 2027. They have made a target that they are going to have 2% of their GDP. They are going to have 2% expenditure of their GDP on this defense. Then we see that there is also, they are trying to acquire the counter-strike capability. Okay. Acquiring counter-strike capability. Okay. Japan trying to acquire counter-strike capability. Means it is trying to get some new weapons. It is trying to get some new weapons. Okay. It is also getting some long range missiles. It is trying to get some long range missiles. Okay. So it is also working for development of indigenous defense and missile systems. Japan is also looking towards development of indigenous defense and missile system. So that is also a changing. They are also modernizing the military. They're also modernizing their military. So we see that there is another element, that is modernization of the military. They're also going for modernization of military, like in the field of cyber, AI, intelligence, UAVs, etc. So they are also going for modernization of their defense. So we can see that there is a change in the approach. There is a change in approach of Japan. Now they're also having like a lesser restriction on the export also. They're having lesser restriction on export also. They're also like having diplomacy with many countries. Okay. Active security diplomacy. Security related diplomacy with Australia, India, etc. So we see that there is a change in the policy of Japan. There is a change in the policy of Japan. Export restriction on defense products. Export restriction on defense products or high-end technology. High-end technology. Okay. There is this like export restriction on high-end technology or defense-related products. So that is one thing which we see here, that it was having restrictions. Now the thing is that when we are talking about India and Japan, okay, when we are talking about India and Japan, there is also cooperation. There is an element of cooperation between India and Japan. That when we are talking about these two countries, there is already an element of cooperation between India and Japan. Okay. What we see that we are having 2+2 institutional dialogue framework. We are having 2+2 institutional dialogue framework. 2+2 institutional dialogue framework. What is 2+2? 2+2 is like two ministers or two different departments from India plus two counterparts from Japan. They will be talking about different matters. They will be discussing different matters. So that is called as 2+2 dialogues. Then we see that there is a bilateral logistic agreement. There is a bilateral logistic agreement. Bilateral logistic agreement to support armed forces. So we are already having a bilateral logistic agreement to support armed forces. We see that there is also joint military exercises between India and Japan. There is also this joint military exercises. There is this joint military exercises between India and Japan. There is joint military exercises between India and Japan. There is a joint military exercise which takes place between India and Japan. There is also focus on a stronger maritime domain awareness. There is a focus on a stronger. There is a focus on a stronger maritime domain awareness framework. that in field of maritime cooperation also, India and Japan are collaborating with each other. We see that like there is the first time recently, for the first time, India and Japan are having a defense cooperation on co-development of antennas. Okay, co-development of co-development of naval antennas. This is the recent one which we see, that how we have been cooperating with respect to defense agreements, how we are cooperating in terms of defense. India and Japan have been cooperating on a number of things, but we see that on defense also we are now cooperating. Now see here what I am trying to tell you. What I am trying to tell you. Look at this from the beginning, that there is a changing situation in Asia which is impacting both of India as well as Japan. So there is a changing situation in Asia which is having an impact on both the Japan as well as India. Then we see that the policy of Japan was earlier this. Okay, it was having self-imposed military state and all these things, which was the policy in the past. It is facing certain challenge with respect to China. Then we see that now there is a changing approach of Japan. So it is going for more of the indigenous capability, more of acquiring thing. So now they are looking for something. They are looking for the advancement in defense. So does that provide a kind of opportunity for us? Now think about this. So Japan is trying to expand its military capacity. Japan is trying to expand or become a better military. So is that presenting a sort of opportunity for us? And we see that there is already some of the existing agreements between India and Japan. India and Japan are having good relations also. Plus there is existing cooperation on defense also. Now in this context, we see that there are certain challenges. There are certain challenges which are also existing. We cannot deny that part. We see that there are certain challenges which are existing. Okay. The number one challenge which we see that many a times it remains just a political rhetoric. Okay. So defense cooperation remains political rhetoric, lesser implementation. So we are signing the deals, we are talking about cooperation, but the actual cooperation is missing somewhere. When we are talking about India and Japan, that the actual cooperation is missing somewhere. Okay, we see that there is a slow industrial cooperation despite having a good relation. Okay, so we see that slow industrial cooperation despite having a strategic partnership. Despite having a strategic partnership, Japan is one country which is a very good partner of India, which is a very good having very good relations with India. But we see that it remains more of a political rhetoric and the actual implementation is lagging. Okay. We see that there is a limited engagement. There is a very much limited engagement. Very limited engagement with respect to defense forces. There is cooperation only in logistics and military exercise. So we see that it is not having that much depth. It is not having that much depth. We see that there is no such much depth. Okay. We see that there is also this one thing that slow and incremental approaches, rather than transformational relationship. We see that there is a slow and incremental, relation. There is a slow and incremental approach to defense partnership rather than transformational collaboration. So we see that. Now look at this one thing. Take this as an opportunity. Now Japan is also changing its policy. It is also having the similar constraint. India is also having a change in its policy. We are also going for indigenization. We are also going for defense modernization, defense production. So there we see that there is a option. There is an option for us for having more industrial collaboration. We are having an option for like deepening the coordination between India and Japan. We can look at the mutual sectors where we can collaborate in terms of industry, in terms of defense and others, where we can work together. When we are talking about development of new missiles or development of new defense system, India can also offer its expertise. तो भारत भी अपनी expertise share कर सकता है. We are having various counter drone system. We are having various anti-missile systems. So we can cooperate on that part. In terms of missiles also we can cooperate. In terms of fighter jet also we can cooperate. In terms of the marine, in terms of the submarines, also we can have cooperation with Japan. So there is a huge opportunity for collaboration. We have a common challenge. So if we work together, it can be better tackled. तो हमारा कॉमन चैलेंज है, तो साथ में काम करने पे बेटर अप्रोच हो सकता है, साथ में काम करने पे बेटर ढंग से हैंडल कर सकते हैं. तो दैट इज द एंटायर जिस्ट ऑफ दिस वन आर्टिकल. That you can see in the beginning itself, the article is having the heading, a changing Asia demands more from Delhi and Tokyo together. It is not about the individual effort, it is about the collaborative effort. So that is the gist of this article, that there is a common challenge for India and Japan. So there is a new element of cooperation which we can see here. I hope it's clear. So this is one new element of India-Japan collaboration, which you can see. The question here, the evolving challenge in Asia presents an opportunity for India and Japan to cooperate on defense front. Elaborate. Highlight the challenges in meeting this expectation of closer collaboration. तो अब इसका आंसर लिखा जा सकता है. The keyword here is elaborate. When the keyword is elaborate, you have to explain it. Explain it. Keyword here is elaborate. So elaborate means you have to explain it. तो यहाँ पे आपको अच्छे से इसको explain करना पड़ेगा. हर एक arguments को deeply explain करना पड़ेगा. Not just a superficial part. ठीक है. तो बस superficially बताना नहीं है. You have to go in the detail of it. You have to expand it. You have to discuss on all the dimensions. Okay. So this is the part, the first question. Now coming to the second article. The second article is with respect to the AI and education. Second जो article है वो AI और education को लेकर है कि how AI is changing the various sectors. So how there is a impact of AI on different sector. Let us try to look at this. Okay. So let us try to have a look at this one part. When we are talking about AI, artificial intelligence, when we talk about its impact, अगर हम इसके impact पे बात करते हैं, so what we see that in the case of IT, in the case of information technology, we see that there is one thing, there is one thing like in case of software and work automation. Here we see that there is one thing called as vibe coding. एक AI tool है which is about the vibe coding. Now we see that there is a AI tool or AI setup, vibe coding. It can make the routine coding obsolete. Okay. Can make routine coding obsolete. There are many people who are employed in this. Okay. Now what we see that there can be AI tools. We see that AI tools can automate several tasks. AI tools can automate several tasks. So that is one thing which we see here in the case of impact of the AI system. What we see that in case of pharma, when we talk about the pharma industry, in case of pharma, what we see that it can change the molecule screening and formulation in generic drug or biosimilar. Okay, it is something, it can like reshape the molecular screening of drugs in generic or biosimilars. We see that it can also create or predict protein structures, It can design and develop new drugs. It can design and develop new drugs. That is the ability of AI in case of pharma. That it can design and develop new drugs. It can go for molecular screening and formulation in generic drugs. Okay. It can also, in case of manufacturing, we see that the impact can also be seen in case of manufacturing. We see that AI-enabled robots, they can like go for many tasks. AI-enabled robots can enhance the efficiency of manufacturing. It can also be utilized for quality check. New designs So in manufacturing also, we see that there is a huge potential of AI. Okay. There is a huge potential of AI in case of this मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर ऑल्सो नहीं. ये जो आर्टिकल है ये द हिंदू से, इसके पहले का जो आर्टिकल था वो इंडियन एक्सप्रेस से था. दिस वन आर्टिकल इज फ्रॉम द हिंदू. द प्रीवियस आर्टिकल इट वाज फ्रॉम इंडियन एक्सप्रेस जो एशिया और उसको लेकर था. वी सी दैट इन केस ऑफ वैक्सीन्स और इन फार्मा इटसेल्फ वी कैन सी दैट इट कैन क्रिएट न्यू वैक्सीन्स and antibiotics. It can create new vaccines and antibiotics. We have seen that it can predict the immune responses also. It can predict immune responses. It can predict immune responses. It can also recommend. It can also recommend. In fact, this is one thing which can also recommend multiple options of treatment. Okay, it can recommend multiple options of treatment. So that is also the potential of the AI. From manufacturing to all other things, this can help. Okay. We see that it can also be used to handle. It can also be used for handling logistics. Handling logistics. It can automate the process. Automation of process. It can enable quick tracking, identification of loopholes or identification of gaps. So we see that in case of the logistics also, AI can have all these impact. So in fact, if you are looking at AI is having this one potential that it can transform each and every sector. AI जो है वो हर एक सेक्टर को प्रभावित कर रहा है, from education to healthcare to every other thing. AI is having an impact. So now, what is the impact? Okay. What is the impact on economy? When we look at this, so what is the resultant impact on economy? What is the resultant impact on economy? What is the resultant impact on economy? We see that there is one major impact, that is changing nature of work. Changing nature of work. It is random and unpredictable. It is random and unpredictable. We don't know that which job is going to become obsolete in the future. कौन सा job कब obsolete हो जाएगा, ये समझना बहुत ही मुश्किल है. Okay. What we will see that many entry level positions will disappear. Okay. And there will be a demand for deeper domain expertise. Okay. We see that there is one challenge, that entry level jobs will disappear. There will be higher demand. There will be a higher demand of domain expertise. So entry level jobs, obsolete means like it will be no longer valid or no longer be demanded. Obsolete means जो खत्म होता चला जाता है. Okay, which is outdated. Obsolete means outdated. Okay, so that is one thing we see. Okay. We will also see that there will be requirement of fewer supervisory roles. Okay. Demand of fewer supervisory roles. Demand of fewer supervisory roles. Why? AI takes control of monitoring, supervision, and quality control. So AI may take control. AI may take control of this one part. Okay. So this is one thing that we see that it is going to create a challenge for our economy. This is going to create a challenge for our economy where we'll see that the employment is not simply declining. There will be some new employment also created. But we see that it is changing the nature of economy. There is a change in the economy which we will see. Okay. Now, what is the current approach? How we are dealing with it right now? What is the current approach? What is the current approach which we see here? One of the approaches, like there is a adaptation in the workforce. Okay, there is a adaptation in workforce. Everyone has to survive. Everyone has to survive. So we see that there is a adaptation in workforce. There is adaptation in workforce. And what is that adaptation? That adaptation is basically acquiring new skills. Acquiring new skills. So adaptation in workforce is there. We see that now people are getting more and more AI certification courses or use of AI and many other things are there. People are transitioning to deep domain expertise. There's a transition towards deep domain expertise. There is a transition to deep domain expertise. Deep domain expertise that we see. That now we see that there is a deep domain expertise where people are focusing. Now the thing is that while the current approach is going on, what needs to be changed? Okay, what changes can be there in our education system? हमें मालूम है कि AI is going to replace, AI is going to create challenges. So what reforms are required in our education system? That what reforms are required? The thing is, the reforms in ed sector. What reforms are required in education sector? What we see that we have to shift away. Okay. Like right now, what is our approach? What is our approach? Our approach is getting more and more information. Our approach is storing more information. But we have to focus on deep understanding, retrieving, and learning, or hands-on experience is more needed. Okay. So we see that like transition from storage of information to application of knowledge. It means we have to go for practical skills learning. We have to go for practical skills learning. जैसे आई थिंक मेनी ऑफ यू मे हैव गॉट कंप्यूटर एजुकेशन इन स्कूल्स, आप में से कई लोगों को कंप्यूटर एजुकेशन मिला होगा स्कूल में, बट हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव गॉट द सेम application knowledge? जैसे आई थिंक when you are reading in class 10th 11th or 12th, you are having different parts in computer education, like how to make powerpoints, how to make multiple such images or multiple such things in paint or many other part in computer education. तो आपको काफी चीजें सिखाई जाती हैं. इनफैक्ट वेब पेज क्रिएशन इज ऑल्सो taught in the classes कि how to create a web page and everything. So you are taught many things in computer, but how many of you are actually able to create a web page? मैं अगर आपको बोलूं कि मेरे लिए आप एक वेब पेज डिजाइन कर दो, just design a web page for me. So how many of you can create a web page? जिन्होंने 12th के बाद कंप्यूटर्स नहीं पढ़ा हो, जिन्होंने 12th के बाद कंप्यूटर नहीं पढ़ा हो, how many of you have the ability to create a web page? Do you know how to design a web page? आपको मालूम है वेब पेज कैसे डिजाइन होगा? We see that despite having computer education, many of the people are not aware about the basic skills or basic information with respect to computer. The thing is, we have got this one knowledge, that is the bookish part. हम लोगों को bookish knowledge मिल जाता है, but the second part is that the application portion, that is something which is challenging. Okay, like the curriculum needs to be redefined. Okay. Redefining curriculum, as per changing demand of the world, as per changing demand of the world, that we need to redefine. Okay, सिर्फ you have used some in your CA. Okay, PowerPoint से होता है क्या? The PowerPoint is like this. देखो जैसे ये PowerPoint का ही तो पार्ट है ना, this whole thing. अब तो ये तो बहुत बेसिक PowerPoint है, तो PowerPoint means where you are having animation and everything. But since we are running it in a PDF format, क्योंकि इसको PDF format पे रन करते हैं, तो even if there is an animation which is added, it will not be visible on the board. ठीक है, क्योंकि हम लोग एनिमेशन उस पर रन नहीं करते in case of PDF. So suppose if it was having animation sort of thing, so then just by some instruction, the other fonts will become visible one by one. ठीक है, so that is what we see in the case of PowerPoint. So redefining curriculum as per changing demand. Okay, we see that there should be focus on learning new skills. There should be focus on learning new skills, adaptation, analysis and judgment. So we have to basically work on intelligence now. अभी तक हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे? Our education system was more focused on knowledge, or you can say that more focused on information rather than intelligence. हमारा जो फोकस था वो information पे था. Now we have to go towards intelligence because now the scenario has changed. अब जो scenario है वो change हो रहा है. It is no longer about information. Now it is more about intelligence. So if humans have to compete with artificial intelligence, they have to work on intelligence. Okay? They have to work on intelligence, not on information. क्योंकि हम information के मामले में कंप्यूटर से कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते. In case of information, we cannot compare with the computer systems. But in case of intelligence, In case of intelligence, we can, in case of the intelligence, we can always compare and in fact overpower the systems. Okay. So this is one thing which we have to look into. And what we see that we need a flexibility in our academics. Okay. We also need flexibility in academics with respect to courses, flexibility in academics with respect to courses or certification, that we need this flexibility. हमें flexibility की आवश्यकता है. Okay. Then there should be more freedom of exploration. There should be more freedom for exploration. There should be freedom for postgraduate students for exploration. Let them explore. There should be more and more freedom for the students to explore. Okay. So you have to enter the unknown part. Then only you can discover something new. Then only you can design something new. Okay. So freedom from that part is also something which is required. Okay. देखो, आपको दोनों चीजें चाहिए. Try to understand this one thing कि आप किस चीज का एग्जाम दे रहे हो. You are giving an examination where you will be policy maker. जहां पे आप पॉलिसी मेकर या पॉलिसी को इंप्लीमेंट करने पे ध्यान दोगे. तो व्हाट हैपेंस दैट व्हेन वी आर रीडिंग अ पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक, तब फिर हम उस इमोशंस में आ जाते हैं कि अच्छा चलो हमें भी शायद ये करना चाहिए क्या. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस पार्ट कि व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हेयर कि व्हाट नीड्स टू बी डन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एजुकेशन सेक्टर, विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू अदर सेक्टर, तो हेयर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट that how the policy changes can be there, how the things have to be changed. So we are reading from that perspective. I am not telling you from the perspective कि how you should change your career. तो दोनों में अंतर समझना. Here we are talking about the part which is related to UPSC preparation. तो यहाँ पे आपको information भी देना है plus skills, but skills not like AI skills or any other skills. You require the writing skills, the communication skills. So don't get carried in the emotions also. Sometimes when we are reading these topics, फिर आपके मन में भी आता होगा शायद यार हम लोग भी AI कोर्स कर ले क्या. So keep that one thing in mind. Now, coming to the third article. जो तीसरा आर्टिकल है वो हम लोगों ने कुछ ही दिनों पहले डिस्कस किया था. विकसित भारत गारंटी फॉर रोजगार एंड आजीविका मिशन. आपने इसका आंसर भी लिखा था. Many of you have written answer for this also. So I think you know about this topic. Again, same discussion है, but in different newspaper. Okay. What we see, this is about कि हर स्टेट में किस हिसाब से डिक्लाइन हुआ है. What we see that in most of the states, between April to July, there has been decline in the number of jobs. ज्यादातर स्टेट्स में डिक्लाइन हुआ है. तो वी हैव सीन द रीजन्स ऑल्सो बिहाइंड इट. हमने इसका कारण भी देखा था कि व्हाट आर द इश्यूज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू दिस विकसित भारत गारंटी फॉर रोजगार एंड आजीविका मिशन. तो आप सबको याद है ये आर्टिकल. हैकर बनूंगा. देखो, फॉर ऑप्शनल आई थिंक द वन सब्जेक्ट विच यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड, द वन सब्जेक्ट फॉर विच यू आर हैविंग ऑल द कंटेंट, फॉर विच यू आर हैविंग गाइडेंस एंड टेस्ट सीरीज, दैट विल बी बेस्ट. तो इसलिए इस टॉपिक को अभी डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं. आई एम गिविंग यू दीज टू क्वेश्चंस. ये दोनों क्वेश्चंस है आपके लिए. AI is having significant impact on almost all the sectors of Indian economy. Elucidate. यहाँ पे कीवर्ड जो है वो elucidate है. तो you have to give example. What steps must be taken to leverage the AI for development in India? कि हमें AI का इस्तेमाल करना है, उसके लिए हमें मैंने कल ही ज्वाइन किया है क्लास। सो नुसरत, आई विल सजेस्ट यू कि एक दो दिन पहले का आप सेशन देखो। दिस आर्टिकल इज ओनली टॉकिंग अबाउट फैक्ट्स, बट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड अबाउट दिस विकसित भारत गारंटी फॉर रोजगार एंड आजीविका मिशन इन डिटेल। तो एक बार इसके थ्रू होकर देखो, देन यू विल बी फाइंडिंग दैट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दिस इन डिटेल। ओके, नाउ तो दीज टू क्वेश्चंस वर देयर। अब आते हैं कल के क्वेश्चन पे, जिसमें काफी लोगों में एक जो प्रॉब्लम मुझे देखने को मिली है कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन। सी द कीवर्ड इज एनालाइज। When there is a keyword like analyze, you have to show cause and effect. Cause and effect. You have to give both part. Analysis. When we are talking about analysis of anything, what were the causes, what was the impact? What were the causes, what were the impacts? ये दोनों चीजों को आपको दिखाना होता है। In case of analysis keyword, आपको इन दोनों चीजों पे फोकस करना होता है। So what should have been the ideal part? Okay. The funding for research and development is the key to prosperity of the nation. In this context, analyze the funding scenario for scientific research in India. Suggest measures for improvement. अगर हम इसके इंट्रोडक्शन की बात करें, तो you should have started the introduction with the facts with respect to funding. Facts with respect to funding. सीधा यहां से स्टार्ट करना है। देखो, सम ऑफ यू हैव डन दिस वन थिंग कि आप बता रहे हो कि फंडिंग क्यों जरूरी है। यू हैव रिटन दिस पार्ट कि व्हाई द फंडिंग इज नेसेसरी। इसको आप स्टार्टिंग के इंट्रोडक्शन में डील करो, विच इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड। देखो, यूपीएस इज गिविंग यू समटाइम्स अ ट्रैप लाइन। यहां पे लाइन दिया हुआ है, आप इसी के अराउंड सोचते रह गए, तो नहीं, इस पे सोचने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। इस पे आपको सोचने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। डायरेक्टली कम टू दिस पॉइंट, गिव सम फैक्ट्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू फंडिंग। और बहुत ज्यादा कंपैरिजन अभी स्टार्टिंग में नहीं करना है। व्हाट आई हैव सीन कि जैसे मैं आपको नोट्स लिखाता हूं, वैसे आप आंसर भी लिखते हो कि इन द सेम सीक्वेंस इन विच आई एम गिविंग यू द नोट्स, इन द सेम सीक्वेंस यू आर ऑल्सो राइटिंग द आंसर। तो ये नहीं करना है। द सीक्वेंस ऑफ नोट्स एंड सीक्वेंस ऑफ आंसर विल बी डिफरेंट एज पर द डिमांड। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, go through the facts with respect to funding. 0.8% of GDP, that is almost the highest part which we have done for our research and innovation. इसके बाद क्या करना है कि you have to analysis. Okay, तो causes behind or the regions, the second paragraph will be the regions behind poor funding. Regions behind poor funding. So that is one thing which you will show. देन द थर्ड पार्ट, यहां पे आप बताओगे, एक दो जितने भी पॉइंट्स है उसको बताया। देन इंपैक्ट ऑफ पुअर फंडिंग, इसका इंपैक्ट क्या हुआ उसको बताना है। इंपैक्ट ऑफ पुअर फंडिंग, इंपैक्ट ऑफ पुअर फंडिंग। देन आफ्टर द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग दिस वन थिंग दैट सजेस्ट मेजर्स फॉर इंप्रूवमेंट। क्वेश्चन यहां पे पूछ रहा है कि आपको क्या करने की आवश्यकता है। Suggest measures for improvement. So then you will be suggesting the measures, suggestions. अब देखो, जो डेटा है उसको कैसे इस्तेमाल करना है। We don't have to put just the facts anywhere. ऐसा नहीं कि मैंने आपको फैक्ट दिया उसको कहीं भी इस्तेमाल कर लेना है। We have to use it wisely. जैसे आपको सजेशन देना है कि we have to increase the budgetary allocation. यहां पे आप एग्जांपल दो, in the same manner as China is spending this much percent, US is spending this much percent, or Japan is spending this much percent. So when you have to use the fact, use it properly. बस ऐसा नहीं कि हम कहीं भी फैक्ट को अपने हिसाब से एडजस्ट कर देंगे, नहीं, use it in a proper manner. He need to increase the budgetary allocation for research and development as in China there is 2.4% and in US there is इतना परसेंट। तो एक दो लिखना है, सबका तो लिखना भी नहीं है। तो दिस इज वन थिंग विच यू हैव टू गिव द सजेशंस कि हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू लाइक इंक्रीज द बजट फोकस, बजटरी एलोकेशन, प्राइवेट सेक्टर पार्टिसिपेशन। So you have got multiple data. You have got multiple data. Now what you have to do, you have to write the suggestions, and if you find some data which can be added there, उसको आप add कर दो. But don't write data separately, otherwise उसका कोई मतलब नहीं रहता. So this is one thing which you have to do in the suggestion. And when you are writing the conclusion, अब यहाँ पे go back to the introduction part. Okay. कि India aims to become Viksit Bharat by 2047. Or you can start like this. The key to Viksit Bharat by 2047 is the focus on research and development in the country. The key to achieving the goals of Viksit Bharat by 2047 is focus on research and development. We need participation of public sector, private sector, as well as academicians in order to achieve this shared goal and responsibility. We need active participation of government, private sector, and citizens or academicians to attain this shared goal and responsibility. ये जो हमारी साझा जो responsibility है या goal है, उसको attain करने के लिए सबको साथ में आना पड़ेगा. So this is one thing which you have to improve. Okay. So remember this one thing, that हाँ suggestions को आप दे सकते हो, suggestions को आप flow chart में दे सकते हो. That's not a problem. See, here the keyword is analyze. Okay, if you want, just discuss this part, reasons behind poor funding, impact of poor funding. If you want to show it in a flow chart, you can show it in a flow chart. No problem in that. But the question is saying analyze, so you have to show cause and effect relation. ये चीज आपको देखना है. So this is one part which you have to keep in mind, and then suggestions. That is one thing which you have to add, and then the conclusion. तो यहाँ पे कई लोगों का थोड़ा बहुत मिस हुआ है इस पार्ट में, जिसको ध्यान रखना है. देखो, जहां तक बात है, मेरे पास जो आंसर्स कल रात में 9 बजे तक थे, मैंने बोला था कि आप 9 बजे तक जो सबमिट करेंगे, तो मेरे पास जो आंसर्स थे रात में 9 बजे तक, उसमें जिनका आंसर था, इफ आई टेल यू, फर्स्ट आंसर था फ्रॉम शिवानी गुप्ता. ओके, तो इन शिवानी गुप्ता वी हैव सीन दैट इंट्रोडक्शन, दिस वाज गुड, कॉज एंड इम्पैक्ट वाज आल्सो गुड. यू कैन add that data in the suggestion part. You can add those facts. तो suggestion part में आप facts को add कर सकते हो. For Shreya Shukla also, the same advice is there. You have also shown the cause and impact part, but again, you can add the fact part. Okay. इसमें fact part को आप add कर सकते हो. Then there is one answer from Mithun. देखो, Mithun, you are writing good answers, but थोड़ा सा और ध्यान देकर लिखो. ध्यान देकर लिखने का मतलब क्या, कि there is one thing that sometimes people avoid improving the writing part. Okay. Improve the writing part. So improve in that writing part. That is one thing which is required. Then there is one answer from Shivangi. So Shivangi, you have to write on plain paper. We have added all part, but you can work on representation. So that is one thing which is required. Priyanshu, I think you have already met on Prayagraj Center. You have written the answer. I have explained to you that what is required to be added in your answer. The cause and impact part was missing. Then there is answer from Khushbu. So Khushbu, when you have started the answer, you have written yes in the introduction. ऐसा नहीं लिखते. You don't have to start with yes or no in the introduction. जो आपने कुछ पार्ट अच्छा ऐड किया है, that you have added something like you have added the government steps also, so that is also good. Okay. Himanshu, you have added good content, but do not add too many extra things in answer. Okay, like जो comparison वाला है, वो मैंने अभी आपको explain किया कि how you can improve that part. So once you have given good content, but don't add more things from your side. You have to keep as per the demand of the question. तो ऐसा नहीं कि हमें आंसर में कुछ एक्स्ट्रा देने से ज्यादा नंबर मिलेगा. एक्स्ट्रा देंगे तो देन इट विल बी इन द माइंड ऑफ द evaluator कि the person is not knowing the exact thing. Okay. Then there is one answer from Kajal. So Kajal, you have added like many such flow charts which is unnecessary. Okay, तो फ्लो चार्ट वाला पार्ट आप बाद में ऐड करो, इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. एंड यू हैव मेंशन्ड आल्सो फ्लो चार्ट, तो क्यों आप फ्लो चार्ट मेंशन क्यों कर रहे हो? There is one answer from Bushra. So you need to follow the demand of this question. You have slightly deviated away from the demand. Okay. Then there is answer from Somu and Mahima and also from Rishabh. तो आप सबके आंसर में जो इम्पैक्ट वाला पार्ट है वो मिसिंग है. सोमू, महिमा एंड ऋषभ, the impact part is missing. Okay. Then there is one answer from Richa. देखो, you have mentioned cause, impact and way forward, so everything is there, but you have to write on plain paper. तो plain paper पे लिखो, वो better होगा. There is one answer from Bhumi Yadav also. See, everything is good, but then you have to write within word limit. तो word limit में आप लिखोगे तो better रहेगा. तो मेनी ऑफ यू हैव एडेड द आंसर्स लेटर. कई लोगों ने बाद में आंसर लिखा है ना. देखो, द प्रॉब्लम इज दिस, आप लोग थोड़ा इस पार्ट को समझने की कोशिश करो कि व्हेन यू आर एडिंग द आंसर्स लेट, मैं कब आपका आंसर देख पाऊंगा? क्योंकि मॉर्निंग में टाइम नहीं होता देखने का. द रीजन बीइंग, इन द मॉर्निंग आई हैव टू प्रिपेयर द आर्टिकल्स फॉर यू. तो मॉर्निंग में मैं नहीं देख पाऊंगा. तो अगर आप पहले अपलोड नहीं करोगे तो मॉर्निंग के सेशन में मैं कैसे आपका आंसर देखकर आपको बता पाऊंगा? तो दैट्स वाई ट्राई टू अपलोड इट एट द अर्लीएस्ट. इम्पैक्ट पार्ट मुझे ऋषभ आपके आंसर में नहीं देखा था, मींस दैट वाज वन पार्ट व्हिच वाज मिसिंग. तो अधीरम, मैंने आपका सजेशन दिया है. आई थिंक आई हैव गिवन यू द सजेशन दैट गुड रिप्रेजेंटेशन, कीप इट अप. So your introduction, your representation was good, keep it up. You are writing good answers. नेहा, इफ यू हैव रिटन इन हिंदी, वेट फॉर इट. जिन्होंने हिंदी में लिखा है वो वेट कीजिए, हिंदी वाला हिंदी सेशन में डिस्कस करूंगा. इफ समवन हैज रिटन इन हिंदी, वेट फॉर इट, आई विल डिस्कस दैट इन हिंदी सेशन. रीजन के बाद इंपैक्ट है. अच्छा, आई विल सी योर आंसर अगेन, लाइक इट मे बी समवन एल्स in Rishabh's name, so I will see it again and I will let you know. Okay. देखो, how you can upload answer writing. There is just this one simple thing. Go to this YouTube of KGS IAS English. इसके YouTube पे जाओ. Go in the video section. यहां पे आपको एक वीडियो दिखेगा, हाउ टू अपलोड द आंसर. सो गो टू द यूट्यूब चैनल ऑफ KGS IAS English, go in the video section and see that video. So from there you will be getting the options of how you can upload the answer. देखो, ग्राफ इज समथिंग विच इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड इन एवरी आंसर. जहां पे जरूरत होगा वहां पे आप दिखा सकते हो. वेर यू हैव टू से शो द ट्रेंड, जहां पे ट्रेंड शो करना हो वहां पे आप दिखा सकते हो. अदरवाइज नॉट नीडेड. जहां पे होगा ना ट्रेस द इवोल्यूशन या ट्रेस दिस, वहां पे आप यूज करोगे तो बेटर होगा. ओके नेहा, इफ आई हैव नॉट गॉन थ्रू योर आंसर, आई विल लेट यू नो. आई विल सी इट लेटर एंड आई विल लेट यू नो. ओके, तो ट्राई टू अपलोड इट. ट्राई टू अपलोड इट लाइक बाय 8. आपके पास तो इतना टाइम है. दिस इज 9 AM और मैं 9 PM तक बोल रहा हूं. आपके पास 12 घंटे का समय है. तो ट्राई टू अपलोड इट अर्लियर, क्योंकि फिर उसके बाद मैं कैसे देखूंगा मॉर्निंग में. तो ट्राई टू अपलोड इट एज सुन एज पॉसिबल. अच्छा, एक और काम करना कि व्हेन यू आर अपलोडिंग योर आंसर, व्हेन यू आर अपलोडिंग योर आंसर, तो उसमें साथ में आप लिख भी देना लाइक देयर इज अ कमेंट पार्ट ऑल्सो देयर. इफ यू आर राइटिंग इन इंग्लिश, तो वहां पे बस आप लिख देना कि इंग्लिश कॉपी. लाइक सपोज व्हेन यू आर एडिंग अटैचमेंट, जब आप ऐड कर रहे हो अटैचमेंट को, तो देयर इज एन ऑप्शन. वहां पे एक ऑप्शन है कि आप उसमें कुछ लिख भी सकते हो. तो ड्यूरिंग दैट पार्ट राइट दिस वन थिंग कि इंग्लिश, ताकि मैं समझ जाऊं कि हाँ इंग्लिश कॉपी कौन सी है, हिंदी कॉपी कौन सी है, सो दैट आई डोंट हैव टू ओपन ऑल द थिंग्स जस्ट टू सेपरेट इट. तो इंग्लिश वाले में आप इंग्लिश लिख देना. नुसरत, वेट फॉर इट. ऐसा नहीं कि आप लास्ट आंसर लिख रहे हो. यू हैव रिटन फर्स्ट आंसर. So when you have written first answer, you will be writing many answers. Okay. So don't worry about it. One last question, can a right be called as a genuine legal guarantee when its actual implementation depends heavily on executive discretion and budgetary limits? Now, you cannot call it as a genuine legal guarantee. Okay? If you're asking that in terms of BBG Ramji, again, it is not that much of a guarantee. Okay? नहीं 9 PM तक 9 PM तक आप लिखो, 9 PM के बाद ही मैं देखूंगा. Okay? So thank you so much. Let's meet again tomorrow. And then we will discussing more articles. Thank you. Take care and all the best. Thank you.